Yeah, Peter, it'll be interesting to see how long Kenny Judge actually persists with Tony Woods. He's doing a terrific job on Andrew Thompson. He's playing that negating role on him. He's only had 3 touches. Maybe it's ideal now to push him forward onto Tony Brown and negate his influence.
Hutchton to Harvey to Traianides, who started on the bench, very keen to get into the action. Brown, he'll have leather poisoning shortly. Traianides on the left, kick drops a little bit short. Oh, beautifully read by Francis. He'll put it down as a pass in the locker room later, but I don't think it was intended for him. Now, Peter McKenna, you would love him to have a shot, would you, from there?
Not from there, too far out into the breeze. Oh, nearly a good slips catch then, as we see Mark Graham racing away with the ball. Now, they've got to score something from this attacking foray. Here's Nick Holland. Nick Holland with that funny-looking kicking style. He kicks to Salmon. Salmon did well. Oh, he was dragged off the ball then. He was a bit stiff not to get a free, Salmon. Oh, well played by Salmon to Lord. Lord steps a goal. Oh, great goal. Terrific play, Salmon.
Well, he missed one like that before, but he corrected his mistake.
Well, I thought he was dragged off that marking contest too by the arm. Look at that.
Could have been a free kick. Good eyes, Pete. Also, Nelly holding the ball dispute against Matthew Young. Good awareness there by Salmon to tip the ball to Aaron Lord. He is a noted goal sneak. That's his first of the day.
Aaron Lord has now kicked 1 goal, 2. His opponent there, Nathan Burke, has been one of the Saints' best. They've had so many good players today. Elliott gets it down. Francis, a little give. Aussie Jones. See, these are like training drills, the way they get it out of the centre. Barry Hall will be somewhere, won't he? Lowe's there. Mitchell in front of McCabe has got the mark. Like mice under a blanket. You stop one end and they come out the other side. Good mark from Mitchell. A real goal kicker. Now, is he within kicking distance, Pete?
I certainly is this time, Peter.
I know it's one of your hobby horses. If they're within distance, have a kick.
I reckon if you're within 35 metres of goal, you must have a shot. It's too risky to give it up. And if you're on the forward line, you should be able to back yourself in to kick it anyway.
OK, well, he's right on 50 now. The man on the mark, McCabe, is about 35 out. So a kick from about 40. He's got the distance. Hits the post. And if it was in Gaelic football, the ball would still be in play. That would be an interesting adaptation, so Jimmy Sines tells me.
I saw a game, Hawthorn and Carlton in Japan many years ago. When they hit the post, all the Japanese crowd stood up, Pete, and clapped. They thought that was the idea, was to hit the white stick.
Well, they're not waving the white flag, the Hawks, but they're a long way behind. Hay kicks in.
So it's towards the half-back area. This is Thompson. I like the almost a scoop that was. Under Crawford. I like that Nathan Thompson. I think he's going to be a very good player. Holland couldn't quite hang on to it. Darryl Wakeland's doing pretty well on him. Joel Smith against his old club. Well done by Lord to Holland. Oh, fantastic little kick from Holland to Joel Smith. Salmon will mark this. Oh, he's dropped it. Oh, that was a gimme, and it should have been a mark and a goal, but he knows it, the big fella. He's crooked on himself, Mick.
Yeah, well, no, this has been a good move there by Ken Judge. He is a renowned forward. We saw how successfully he did that in his times at Essendon, but height certainly will worry the St Kilda defence.
Harvey to Traianides, to Elliott, two of the players who started on the bench. McLaren didn't. He was very good in the first quarter. McLaren goes up the half forward, tried to find Walton. Now Turvey.
Good composure. Good boy.
On his wrong foot. He's a left footer. Holland has to beat 2. Elliott finally gets the front position. Holland again. Traianides has got him. But he did well there, Holland. Against the odds, I guess we could say it's out of bounds on centre wing.
Yeah, certainly was against the odds, but Holland persisted. That's what he's renowned for. He really does work his way into a game. Terrific athlete, great endurance runner for the Hawthorn team, especially being 6'4", but he certainly has to work hard.
Oh, Elliott, did he have the football? He was caught. Back to Traianides. Chick, who's had a stint recently on the bench. That's out of bounds. It'll be thrown in left half forward for St Kilda. Thompson reminds me of a little bit of Alex Yashchenko. Certainly in facial looks, I think he's a bit quicker than Alex.
He certainly looks like him.
Maybe he could develop into something for the Hawks. They certainly hope so. He does battle with Stewie Lowe, playing 267th game today.
Well, that's nearly holding the ball. Yes, good decision.
Not nearly it is. Chick will take the free kick at right half back for the Hawthorn side, or it's going to be Shane Crawford.
He dragged it in, didn't he?
Shane Crawford had a bad first quarter. Harvey beat him. He fumbled a few times, but he'd be very keen to try to make amends. Woods.
So Tony Woods hugging the boundary line. He finds Daniel Harford. Now, Harford in towards half forward. Crummell couldn't quite hang on to it. There's Holland. Every time Holland's been near the ball, Mick, Darryl Wakeland's been just right on him.
Yeah, he's become a very reliable and dependable defender, has Wakeland for St Kilda. But it's interesting to see now that Kenny Judge has made that change. Woods has gone to Brown in midfield, and Lekas is back on Thompson at half-back.
Joel Smith, a look-away hand pass. He's looking for Vandenberg. He's surrounded. Is that holding the ball? No. Carr. Nathan Burke. Tony Francis. Gee, they've got some good little fellas. Matthew Young. Numbers just running that ball. Here's Hall.
The big fellas aren't bad either.
No. Ooh, no, was that out? No.
Yep.
It was out before he kicked it. So it'll be a throw in almost on centre wing with the scoreboard 11-6 St Kilda, 4-3 the Hawks.
Vandenberg going off. And yet another move made by Ken Judge, but they've certainly lifted Hawthorn. Mind you, they needed to after that disastrous first quarter. Kick comes from Harford up to centre wing. Graham, Crawford, Rock. Good shepherd by McCabe up to half forward. That's better. Hand pass comes out to Dixon from Crummell. Graham. Oh, hits the post.
Might be a free kick back, Pete.
Umpire's coming back. He's got his arm in the air, so Graham will get another shot.
In the back, I think.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting decision, isn't it? It's good to see Mark Graham actually have a bit of licence. Kenny Judge has also made a move with this man. We intimated earlier he may be used in the midfield, which he's actually doing now to create a bit of run through that area of the ground because they were fairly static. But Graham does run hard and he should kick this goal.
Off the left. Funny old kick off the boot. That tells us it all.
He's lucky to get the free kick brought back.
Well, the way he kicked it.
Like a backman.
Yeah, he did kick it like a backman.
Is that what you were about to say, Pete?
Well, something to that effect, yes. Aussie Jones, well, their midfield, you said they've got a lot of good little fellas, Pete. Well, they've got a lot of good midfielders, a lot of runners, a lot of good tall forwards, Reid, Heatley, Hall, Lowe, etc. They're a great side, and they're showing us that on the scoreboard today. Thompson was up, Walton's at the foot of the ball, applies a tackle on Chick, comes out to Elliott.
And that's another tall player on the ground. Here's Hall. Cradle of the pace. Now, he's got loose men everywhere here. Look at him running around. He only has to bomb it wide, and he's got loose players, 3 of them. Joel Smith, now he should run this for 50 metres. They should do something with this. Where are their forwards? No one leading, so they bomb it to him. Oh, that is shocking. If you've got control of the football and not one player led towards him or ran to a space, they bomb it to a contest and they lose it. Honestly, Mick, that is pathetic forward football.
Yeah, one thing I've always been taught, Pete, when you've got tall players in front of your goal square, you kick it on top of their head because tall players can become slow players on a lead. Paul Salmon was the player in that part of the ground. Hutchton certainly got the mobility, and the kick wasn't kicked to the advantage of Salmon. It wasn't Paul Salmon's fault.
Hutchton, Harvey, Young. Again, they share it around Wakeland. Back to Harvey. Back to Young. So many of these uncontested marks. Elliott in front of Turvey. Well, they're just doing as they like, St Kilda. Trianides. Barry Hall gathers it. No, he hasn't quite got it yet. Crow put the body in. Mitchell. Oh, spins out beautifully, Mitchell. On to Thompson. Thompson to Thompson. Don't often see that. Graham up on the back line again, and I suppose after that last kick for goal, Peter McKenna would be glad to see him there. Tony Woods. It's not Hawthorn's day. The ball beats him over the line right in the middle of the